welcome to another episode of The Mad Scene Live. Yay! Yeah, so thank you to everyone, to the live studio audience that we have. Actually, there's many of us who are logged in and watching the show live, you know. I think we're just kind of being a little shy, but no worries. Yeah, I hope that you'll enjoy the show. Yeah. All right, so I'm Stephen Ang. I'm your host for tonight. Yeah, and usually, you know, for most talk shows, right, that we watch, like be it Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, all the Jimmys, you know, the host usually starts with an opening comedic monologue, but I'm not a comedian, although, you know, I can be funny sometimes, ha 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 ha. Yeah, but I'm not a comedian. I am a singer, so instead of doing a comedic number, I think I'm just gonna sing a song for you guys, yeah? So I hope you'll enjoy Stars from Les Miserables. This suffice to say that we are not 5 minutes in and things are already not going as planned. And that, my friends, is the beauty of live theatre. There, out in the darkness, the fugitive running, fallen from God, fallen from grace. Lord, be my witness, I never shall yield till we come face to face, till we come face to face. He knows his way in the dark, but mine is the way of the Lord. And those who follow the path of the righteous shall have their reward. And if they fall as Lucifer fell, the flame, the sword, stars in your multitudes, scarce to be counted, filling the darkness with order and light. You are the sentinels, silent and sure, keeping watch in the night, keeping watch in the night. You know your place in the sky, you hold your course and your aim, and each in your season returns and returns, and is always the same. And if you fall as Lucifer fell, you fall in flames. And so it must be, but so it is written, on the doorways to paradise, and those who falter and those who fall must pay the price. Lord, let me find him, that I may see him. Save me, I must, I will never rest. Till then, this I swear by the stars. All right, so without further ado, please welcome our next guest. She is a soprano who's performed in numerous stages in Singapore. On numerous occasions, I've performed with her so many times, and it's really been an honor to call her a colleague and a fellow and lover of the arts. Yes, so please welcome the legendary, the iconic Lowell Tan.
Stephen, for organizing this. It's really nice to have this living room chat during such challenging times. It's one of the best ways to connect with everybody. And you know what? backstage actually takes so much more work than front stage, I think. So I just I just stage managed the show. It was crazy. The seemingly simple setup took me like the whole afternoon to do it. You have to really think of every detail, and as much as you want everything to work smoothly, something is always bound to happen, and you just have to roll with it. So kudos to you, man, for multitasking. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for really taking the time to put all this together. Yeah, it looks beautiful. Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
yeah, and really letting us enter your house like this. Yeah,
Yes,
it's such a
thankful to the warmth of winter for those who are stuck here.
right. Okay, well, please let's talk about where it all started. Or how did you fall in love with operatic singing and performing?
Well, as some of you probably know, my mom is actually a Chinese speech and drama instructor and director herself. So I guess it kind of runs in the family. I remember when we were young, she would take us, to walk under the moonlit sky, and she would start singing rhymes and riddles to us. I suppose subconsciously that must be my, childhood. I don't know, infusion, if you will.
Mm.
So, but I think what I really remember, the most vivid memory must be her letting us watch Sound of Music on.
Ah.
I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. And I think that was my formative musical experience, so to speak. Because I was definitely enchanted with Julie Andrews. And I memorized every single song when I was only like 6 or 7 years old. And I remember parading around in my living room with a little cake and giving my Grammy Award speech when I was alone in front of the mirror. So yeah, childhood games. But of course, I think subsequently, I think it was like watching my mom bought three tenors, LD when I was 12, and in those days, like who knows opera in Singapore. And for me, it was really something that opened my eye to a whole different musical world. Because even though, yeah, I mean, I learned the piano from 4 years old onwards, but it was a different experience. It spoke to my soul, it spoke to my heart, and I even thought, oh, could I be singing like that one day? So I guess you can say that was kind of the beginning. And of course, in school, I would actually skip classes just to join choirs. I remember I had a super kiasu P6 teacher who banned all of us from having CCAs in P6 because she wanted us to like be top the whole school, right? So I was actually pulled up right to the front of the class and questioned, why were you joining choir when you're in P6? I was like, oh, I didn't know it was a crime. Yeah, so I remember being really indignant, and it didn't kill my enthusiasm and love for music even then. So yeah, some
Wow.
interesting beginnings.
Mm. Wow, and it's great that you started so young, and yeah, it must be really heartening for your mom to see the fruits of the seeds that she has sown back then just blossom so many years later. Yeah, I recall that I started only getting into music later in life, when I was in poly. I started joining choir in poly, and then and I did my first play at around the same time as well. Yeah, so that was about when I was 17, 18 years old, and then my love for it just kind of developed. Yeah, I was into theater first. Yeah, but as NS happened, I couldn't go and watch plays as much as I would like to. So I started borrowing classical music CDs from the Esplanade Library, and listening to it in camp, and that was where my love for opera started, because it's theater but in a compact disc. Yeah, and then yeah, and after that, I started joining choirs, and I started watching more like classical shows. So I saw you a lot on stage. Yeah, very often. I recall like watching some concert at Fort Canning Hill, and certain like young artist programs, and you would be performing in them. Yeah, and it's so nice that we kind of got acquainted more in recent years. Yeah, right. I think we really only started like talking to each other in when we were doing AIDA. That was in 2018, right? yeah, and it's so nice for me to kind of like be able to, well, talk to someone on a more intimate level, that I used to just watch from afar. Yeah. How, um, yeah. What are some of your more satisfying artistic experiences? Yeah.
Mm. I think that's a very interesting question. I have to say that, well, my first real vocal teacher, Dr. Wong Susan, whom I attributed so much of my learning to. She was the one who really opened my eyes up to the operatic repertoire, bel canto, coloratura, which I have no idea what was before I started learning from her. And she was the artistic director. I mean, she was the then artistic director of SLO. This was, I shall not say how many decades back. Yeah,
Well, yeah,
but
none of us young can claim to be like debutants anymore.
yes, we are always like forever 18. So yeah. So we had so much fun with her. I remember we went there was a opera outreach in the neighborhood. We were Ang Mo Kio, setting up like tents and doing a lot of operatic shows. I was at Chimes doing some galas, and we even went into schools doing like the school version of Hansel and Gretel, bringing opera into schools then. And I think it was like the new she initiated a young artist program at the time, so we also did a lot of relearning from Mr. Xie Yi and her, and she gave us so many opportunities, to pick up languages and to learn repertoire, and most importantly to have performing opportunities. And I think Angie and I we're talking about one of our most memorable experiences actually. So this morning, I was just telling her, oh my God, my gown was thrown into the washing machine. and then we started talking about Halloween. And then I remember we were actually wearing saris and appearing on Zhao An Ni Hao at the then Media Corp, and doing
Wow.
this, this 7 a.m. show, singing Lakme, wearing saris, lying on the floor, and trying not to look really pathetic and silly. Yeah, so that was really, really, really fun. I'd say really fantastic memories of those days. And in fact, I think we didn't know each other then, but you started flying import.
Well, I
You,
started writing on the Flying Import,
yes,
yes. Yeah.
yes, and you were there for one of the shows, and you gave us a fantastic review, and that was how I remember. Oh yeah, this is Stephen Ang. it was yeah, it's amazing how we met so many years later, and things are just like it comes back to a full circle again.
Yes, yes, yes. That's why it's one of the beautiful things about growing older. In that like these acquaintances that we have made along the way somehow just deepen and blossom into genuine friendships. Yeah, and we have done so many projects together. Nowadays as it is, yeah. Yeah, I think back then I started writing with the Flying Inkpot, and I just, I was born in the army. I didn't really have much to do, and so I wrote to the editor and said that can I contribute some articles, in return for free CDs and free tickets. Yeah, when we were young, it doesn't really take much to satisfy us. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and from then on, I started I started the mad scene because I wanted to explore a more kind of informal way, yeah, I wanted to explore a more informal way of presenting opera and classical music. I love it a lot, and I can also see like the how ridiculous it can be sometimes, and that is part of the fun of loving opera as well. And so I started the Mad Scene to kind of celebrate that aspect of opera, and also to find people in the community who do appreciate opera in the same way that I do. Yeah, yeah. Well,
You're
yeah.
absolutely right. I think to accept opera is also to accept the ridiculous. because I remember watching Don Giovanni when I was 15. It was my very first opera. And I fell asleep. I only woke up when, he already burned it out and everything. But I remember at the beginning, they were singing love duets to each other, right? And I was 15. I was like, why did it take so long to confess love to one another? Oh my God, how long-winded. This is opera? Yeah, but nevertheless, I think eventually you begin to appreciate the art form. And as you grow older, you learn that a lot of these emotions are actually experienced by ourselves in everyday life. And sometimes it's very therapeutic to perform certain works because whatever emotions you may be experiencing at that point actually gets sublimated in something else, and vice versa. So I do find that aspect of opera really transformative with you.
Yes, yes, yes. There is something very universal in the emotions that's explored in opera, and that's I'm fascinated by these timeless works, including opera, classical music, and Shakespeare, where these works are celebrated in every generation. It has been performed long before we are born, and it will to be performed long after we're gone. Yeah, and there's something very universal that connects us through these generations of humanity that I really love. And of course, there's the ridiculous aspect as well. The first time I saw Don Giovanni, which was on videotape at the National Library, I think it was an old La Scala production with Thomas Allen. I thought that they spent like 2 hours talking about murder and sexual assault and how they're gonna take revenge and singing about this like deception and revenge on and on and on and on. And in the end, right at the last moment, a ghost appears and pulls the evil villain down to hell. So actually, no one gets to do anything. Actually, they only talk about it. They talk a really good show for 2 hours, but no one actually kills the villain. So
Exactly.
go figure. Yeah, and there's also besides the love of appreciating it, right? I also love the discipline of put, maintaining our voices in a certain condition. Every time we have to perform, the daily discipline of working on your repertoire, making sure we improve and keeping our voices in shape, our technique, making sure that we can at least sustain the same level and if not improve day by day by day. Yeah.